And that's why I think the Scotty Too Hottie theme song should be our intro.
It's incredible.
Oh, it's incredible. It's incredible. Oh my gosh. This is so embarrassing. I hit record and I didn't I didn't know it. I hate when that happens. Well, I guess I'll introduce us. I'm Xavi. This is Walsh. This is the WWF Backlash 2001. I still got to get used to the camera angles on this. This is going to suck for YouTube, but for the people listening, you're not going to see that awkward 2001 I just did. This is a Backlash 2001 retrospect presented by Branded Sports, part of thebrandedsports.com, hashtag get branded. You can read a bunch of great blogs there. Walsh, you actually wrote a couple here recently. Anything specific that you would like to notify the people of?
No, just go read them. It's that simple. Yeah. Click the link, thebrandedsports.com, hashtag get branded, hashtag read the blogs.
and there we go. That's the ad. That's the only ad you're going to hear probably throughout this whole 90-minute show. I mean, it could go longer. We've gone 2 hours talking wrestling. We've gone 90 minutes talking wrestling. Tonight, maybe an hour 45, meet in the middle.
Who knows?
Pawn Star style. Yeah. This is the second episode of our little series here. And me and Walsh, we're kind of switching back and forth on who starts the match, so to speak. So tonight, I'm starting it. Last week for the WrestleMania 17 one, he started it.
Just like a good tag team would, keeping each other fresh here.
Yeah.
When needed to tag each other in and ready to go. That's why we're tag team champs.
That's right. And we're the Branded Sports Tag Team Champions. I think the only ones that could really take us down are the roster girls. They're the only ones.
Yeah.
We would, the Birds and Boys, we would pedigree them into oblivion. The Ring the Bell guys or whatever it's called, Hell's Bells. We would Stone Cold Stunner them into oblivion. And is there any, the beefing? Oh,
the beefing.
Sweet Chin Music.
Yeah.
In a buried alive match. We would just put them 6 feet under. So no, this is second episode of this series. We're gonna try to do one once a week, and we're gonna recap the entire 2001 pay-per-view in the World Wrestling Federation. Now, I think just we're still learning this whole game here when it comes to recapping and looking back on old cards. I posted this to the Reddit Squared Circle, and some of the feedback we got was, doesn't sound like these people were friends before they did the podcast. That's fair. That's fair criticism because we weren't friends before this. We both came into Branded Sports, early May, late May this year,
something like that.
And we found out we both loved wrestling, so we're like, let's talk about it. And so, we don't have the what's a tag team that has been a tag team their entire career. We're not the Hart Foundation. No.
I mean, we didn't grow up in the Hart Dungeon.
No,
but it happens. We're learning on the fly. And I don't think we've been bad. I think we have probably the best chemistry here at Branded. And that's not take it as a shot to everyone else here at Branded, but it's not what that is. It's just facts. I mean,
I'm gonna, fuck it. I'll co-sign that. I've stood with you when you were almost fired for your lack of letting people know about your bets. So hashtag I stand with Walsh on that. I'm gonna co-sign it. We're kind of like the Revival.
Yes,
they weren't a tag team. They both came into WWE. They became a tag team, and now they're known as one of the best in the world. That's what we're gonna be.
Oh yeah, give us like another 3 episodes.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't think this will be like this, but let's not hope that WWE is Branded Sports here and we just spurn them.
Yeah, that would not be good for us. I'm not sure where we'd go afterwards here.
We'd have to go to Patreon and make like $5 a month.
I mean, might be
from our grandparents. We would steal our grandparents' credit cards and then just sign them up for our Patreon. That's what we do. So we're here to talk Backlash 2001. It's the pay-per-view after WrestleMania 17. So if you didn't know by now, we're going in chronological order. So it was only a month, I believe, after, right? Maybe not even a month?
A little less than a month. So this one took place April 29th, 01. WrestleMania was, I believe, April 3rd, April 2nd. Let me take a look here. April 1st. Yeah, so 28 days later.
That's a great movie, but I guess that's kind of not relevant to the topic, but kind of a short turnaround for a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, compared to nowadays, not really, But yes,
Yeah.
for back then, it was a very quick one. And then they had, of course, another one, like I think a week or two after, which no one really counts because it was Insurrection or Resurrection, whatever the hell.
That's a house show. That's what we call a network special now. That's not really it's a glorified house show.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but let's get right into it.
Yeah, we had the opening match was the Dudley Boys, which included all three. It was the Dudley Trio. We'll go ahead and call them that for the sake of this match. They were taking on the X Factor of Just Incredible, X-Pac, and Albert. And can I say, when I heard the X Factor theme song, I was like, buddy, this is going to be a good pay-per-view. When you start with, you'll be dealing with the X Factor. However it goes after that, I'm going to sound really stupid if I try it, but I love it. It's one of my favorite themes from 2001.
Yeah, great theme. X-Pac and Just Incredible, I feel like always have. Sorry, my mic's being stupid here.
No, you're good.
X-Pac always had like a good theme song. Whether he was in DX, just going solo, whatever it may be, he always had a good theme song. So I respect him for that.
And he always had cool names. When he was in WCW and he was 6.
Yep.
Which you know why he was 6, right?
That I did not know.
Because he was the 1, 2, 3 kid before he left WWF, and 3 plus 2 plus 1, 6.
All right.
Pretty crazy. Interesting. A nice little shot at the WWF when he went to WCW. But speaking of shots here, we had a shot at X-Pac on his way to the ring. We had a fan with a sign at the Allstate Arena that said "Dork Factor." I laughed at that. It's so
burn.
Yeah, it's if you listen to our UFC 253 preview, we said with Colby Covington, we're laughing at him because he's so stupid. That's how that sign was. I was laughing at that person that wrote that because it's like, it's so stupid. I just can't help but laugh at you.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that person wrote that ironically. It's all like they thought, we're going to get one. We're going to burn him real good with this Dork Factor.
They're like, this is going to throw him off for the entire match. He's going to see this and he's just not going to know what to do.
Yeah, he's going to look up in row 67, section Z, double Z, and just be triggered by this sign. And it's going to make for a horrible match, which, you know what? It really wasn't. It was not that bad of a match. It was a solid opener. You know, anytime you get a 6-man tag team going, you know, it's going to be a lot of chaos, a lot of throwing around of the bodies, maybe even letting the bodies hit the floor. Because Saliva, that was a big song back in 2001 or 2002. I don't remember when it was for WWF. But can I say, speaking of launching people, the Dudleys launching Spike Dudley to the outside of the ring onto X-Pac and Just Incredible was awesome, because it's like, it's so funny that he can't generate enough force just running the ropes and then diving out to knock him over. He needs to be lawn darted by his brothers to generate enough force to knock them over.
Yeah, and I mean, that to me was one of my favorite parts of Spike Dudley, was the amount of times that he was just thrown by people, whether it was his own team or whether it was anyone else, just literally picking him up like, I don't even know, because he just would fly through the air when people would throw him. We saw it at WrestleMania when he went through the table. That was hilarious. And he just, he's a human bowling ball pin. That's what he is, and that's what he can be used as. He's probably as tall as one too. So
it's a wonder he still can walk at in this day and age from the amount of bumps he took, and it's because he's so lighter and he just flew a lot farther. Like you said, he's a bowling pin, lawn dart, whatever you want to call it. I remember back in ECW, I think it was Bam Bam Bigelow just gorilla pressed him and just launched him into the fans like it was nothing from the ring. It's like, that's how much would it take for you to do that spot if you were Spike Dudley? Because he was probably getting paid like $100 tops at ECW to take that spot. How much what's your bottom dollar on it?
I don't know. I mean, if I'm literally 3'0", 62 pounds, getting thrown by a guy, especially Bam Bam Bigelow, like that dude's not small at all.
No.
I'd say I'd want at least 500.
500? Okay.
Because I don't trust the fans mainly to catch me. That would be the biggest issue I would have with that. Like, I just know that I'm probably eating concrete or one of those steel chairs that people were sitting on.
So Paul Heyman's basically kicking you in the balls and telling you to get the fuck out because he's not paying you 500 for that spot. We just know from the stories of ECW and people not getting paid, checks not clearing, you're not getting 500 for that spot.
No, not at all.
You're getting New Jack stabbing a fork in your forehead for just even trying to think you would get that kind of money to do that spot. He's paying you an exposure, bro. It's okay. So we had that going on. And did you notice who the referee was for this match?
Yes.
Yeah, you did. Okay.
I did. And I always forget going back to like watch some of these older pay-per-views that's how he started. Good old Teddy Long. Holla, holla.
Holla, holla. I love it. For the people listening right now, I just did a podcast with Teddy Long. The way I just saw the dance over there, he did the Teddy Long dance perfectly. We're getting that clip for the YouTube and for Twitter.
Bring out the 6-man tag.
I love it. I love that they let him do the tag team match. I think it was the only match he did on the card.
Yeah,
that's like that was his kink, is just doing 6-man tag or any kind of tag team match. He can never do 1-on-1 unless it's with the Undertaker.
Yes.
And if it's not, it's a tag team match or bust for him. And by bust, I mean literally he's gonna bust. I wonder how he did this. He called this match down the middle with something down the middle and his pants just bulging out, because I'm sure he called the match the entire time with the boner. Props to him for doing that.
Incredible he was even able to get the 3 count to end the match.
Yeah, because I mean he's just like trying to awkwardly place himself on the mat to do the 3 count without like kind of dislocating his dick from being so hard. He needs to do cock push-ups. Shout out Tenacious D. Teach him how to do
between that and then not wanting the match to end.
Oh yeah, he's
like, no, this isn't the spot. We need to keep going.
Spike Dudley could be laying there unconscious from Albert just power bombing him to death, and he would just stop at the 2 count and then just get up and be like, nope. He dragged Spike Dudley's corpse over to the corner and tag in one of the Dudley boys, Weekend at Bernie's style, and then be like, no, the match is going. I don't care. Like Vince McMahon's in his ear just telling him, ring the fucking bell. And he's like, no, sorry, dude. We're doing more tag team. This is a tag team pay-per-view now. It's just called Tag Team Lash. So, no, I love that. What I think I didn't like, though, because we always got to do 2 goods and a bad.
Yeah.
I don't like Just Incredible in tights. Now, for the ECW fans out there, you'll know he used to be a jean shorts guy, a jorts.
Yeah.
And he would wear the puka necklace?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a bad guy. And if you want me to hate him like I'm supposed to, put him back in the jean shorts, put the puka necklace back on him, and he looks like every guy that bullied me in the trailer park as a kid. And I'll hate him. Don't put him in tights. And if he's a tights, he's an average Joe wrestler that I'm like, who gives a fuck about him? He's just Justin lame. But if you put him back in the jorts and the puka necklace, just incredible. Just an incredible douche.
That's fair. I support that idea.
Yeah. I mean, it was a match. It happened, like we said, just got the crowd warmed up. And the ending came with Teddy Long just losing control once the Dudleys try and get Wood, because they called for the 3D after, I believe it was their What's Up spot. Can't do that now because you might spread germs.
That's true. Well, you can if you wear a mask. So just wear a mask and do it.
And then you're licking whatever your mask is made of. If it's a cloth material, it's going to taste horrible.
Yeah. So maybe I wouldn't suggest doing that right now.
Cut a hole in your mask and do it that way. Just can you imagine just Bubba Ray or Devon Dudley just like, sir, we need you to put a mask on. He sees one of his friends from back in the wrestling days, and he just has the hole cut out already in there, and he just goes, Actually, I really can't, because I think Bully Ray's kind of a dick. I don't think he would do that.
No, I think he would just shut it down immediately.
Oh yeah, Devon though. Devon seems pretty cool.
Testify. Well,
yeah, I loved Testify from him and all that. I think he's an agent still with WWE, which shows okay, who's a dick and who's not, because someone's willing to, play nice and stick to company. The other one is a bully.
Yeah,
I mean, it's in his name.
I think, and the problem with him, I think, is he had that like one run with TNA where like he, the whole Bully Ray thing started, and it just went to his head. Like, oh no, I can do this. I can be a main event type guy. Like, no, dude, no.
No, I mean,
you're a tag team wrestler, and that's what you're best at.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think tag team wrestling is great, but yeah, he definitely tries to big time people. I mean, I've heard, if you go to like any kind of wrestling forum, you've heard stories of people meeting him. He's just kind of a dick, and then he got pissed. Did you hear? I don't know if you heard about this. I think it was like a year or 2 ago. when he was doing the booking with Ring of Honor, his girlfriend was getting booed by someone and they were chanting stuff at her. And what was said is a little up for debate, kind of a he said, she said situation.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, he confronts this fan, like brings them backstage and like tries to like bully them into apologizing. And then he goes, you need to go back out there and be a fan. And then he's like the guy that's on Twitter constantly going, you're getting worked, you mark. It's like, well, you just got worked by some fan making fun of your girlfriend.
Right.
Like he's just, he's one of those guys that it's like, look, we all get this is kind of kayfabe is not really alive anymore. You know, they clock in, they clock out, and when they're off the clock, we're like, hey, we like what you do. You don't need to be a dick to us. Like MJF, he could, but if he's not, if he's just normal MJF, if he's Maxwell Jacob Friedman and not MJF, I'm like, hey, cool. You know, just thank you for what you do. It's cool. Right. I like the character, I like the shtick, but you know, he takes it too seriously. Bully Ray does.
Agreed. I will say, going off of that topic a little bit, I saw a commercial today of The Undertaker playing a video game, and I just don't know how I feel about it. It's so weird. Like, I think he was on a live stream the other day too from another company, and it's just weird seeing him like be a person.
Yeah,
as dumb as that sounds, like he's been so like out of the limelight outside of the ring that now seeing him do it is very weird.
They wouldn't even let him do like any Hall of Fame. I think when Paul Bearer got inducted, they wouldn't let him do it as Mark Calloway. He had to do it as The Undertaker. I don't remember if he actually came out or not and did anything besides like the Undertaker shtick. But yeah, they won't, like, the closest thing we got to Mark Calloway being like himself was the biker era, which I mean, we're talking about now on the podcast. But now, he's completely done with the dead man Undertaker shtick. It's all Mark Calloway now, which is, it's cool. Like the WWE Network's even got a few specials with him out of character talking about things. Like you say, he's starting to do a lot more live streams, interviews, and all that. It was only a matter of time, you know. And when he's slowing down the ring, it's kind of cool though to see him kind of, you know, just take you a peek behind the curtain, because it's this guy that if he's breaking kayfabe, as they say, and he's one of the guys that protected it for the longest time, it should just show, hey, you know, we don't have to be in character all the time.
Right.
We can be ourselves.
It's basically him saying there's a new era. Pretty much.
Yeah,
that's how I look at it. It's
the social media era. I mean, it's, if you want to be in character, cool. If not, that's cool too. And I think that's the point that people need to get here.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the ending came. We got to circle back to the ending of this match because it was so chaotic, just like the first 17 minutes of the show's been.
Absolutely, always.
So they go to get Wood, and the X Factor gang up on Bubba Ray, and Teddy lets it go until they all just obliterate him with super kicks for the 3 count, which was kind of funny because you had Albert, who was in the ring along with Justin Credible and X-Pac, beating the shit out of Bubba Ray, and then finally Teddy Long is like, okay, I've seen enough, and he just focuses on Albert and lets those two continue to go to work. And then boom, match is over. He counts the 3 like, hey, I know I just saw you guys cheat, but I'm going to count this because that's the rules.
Yep. Teddy makes the rules, so I get it.
Yeah. And the X Factor celebrate, which it's kind of weird that this is their taunt, because for those that don't know, behind the scenes, this is the sign for someone's hurt.
Yeah.
So that's always very confusing to me what they will do if, like, let's say X-Pac's got a concussion and he's still trying to celebrate. You know, are they going to check on him for the concussion, or are they going to think he's just throwing up the taunt? I don't know. That's
throwing up the taunt.
Yeah. They're like, X-Pac, let us know give us the taunt if you're okay. And he just does this. And like, all right, he's good. And he's clearly, eyes are glazed, 1,000-yard stare. But they're like, okay, he did the taunt. We're good.
Which back then you could see something like that happening 100%.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I mean, we even saw, I think, a chair shot to the head, which we'll talk about later. But then we had the Dudleys get back in, and they got their Wood. They climaxed. They gave the 3D, sent the crowd home, or got the crowd started on a happier note, which is kind of weird. The X Factor won, because you usually start the crowd off getting them hot, which I guess they did eventually, like I said, when they did the 3D to the table. But again, it was one of those matches that, not watching the Raw before and not having much of a build, I'm assuming, was just kind of thrown together hastily. So that's, what'd you think of the match overall?
I didn't think it was bad. Like I agree with you, where it was definitely like a good start to the pay-per-view. Obviously, it could have been better, but I mean, for what it was, 6-man tag, get a couple people involved here, 2 teams that really didn't have any direction with like the tag titles, which they kind of, we'll get to it later. They kind of backed themselves into a corner with Triple H and Stone Cold, and then Kane and Undertaker having all the titles.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just had to throw these 2 teams in there because, you know, hey, we need some matches to fill the card, and why not? Let's get you guys some exposure here.
I mean, exposure is good exposure, especially when you're starting the pay-per-view. And then,
exactly.
Sorry, I had corn chowder soup before this, and because I got it from Panera constantly, and I was like, okay, let's get the chunky version here. Well, we should probably bleep that out because we don't know if Chunky will ever sponsor us. So
True.
I get the chunky soup. Don't worry, I'm going to bleep that in post. And it's just been kind of sitting in there, you know. It's just sitting in the old chest there. But it was good. We'll definitely eat it again, but probably not before I podcast.
Yeah, probably not the best idea.
No, and you know, just like we just took here a little break, a little segue from the matches. That's what the pay-per-view did. See, that's what we call going. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. This is where we work on chemistry. This is where I would tag you in. We're taking a little break from the matches here. We had 2 segments. Really don't have to dive too far into them. The Queen of Duchess arrived for the Queen of Duchess rules match between William Regal and Chris Jericho. I had the sound off on this part, so I really don't know what was said, but I just imagine it sounded like nails on a chalkboard, like so most English actors do.
And because I just also watched this like literally the other day, it was basically just her arriving and I think it was Jonathan Coachman who like pops in. I forget who popped in to like interview her.
I think it was Coachman.
And he goes, just ask basically, how does someone win this match? And she's about to start explaining it, and then Regal comes running in and basically just says, no, don't talk to her. And that's pretty much
He's like, Mr. Coachman, you taking the piss on me. You taking a piss, bruv. That's what he's doing. And then we had it looked like Maven from Tough Enough in the background with hair as her Secret Service guard. I tried to look up to see if I could confirm that was the case. Could not.
Realize that.
Yeah, that was my brain working while I was supposed to work today, and I had on this instead. So yeah, there was that, and then we had Kurt Angle backstage interview. He's talking about cleaning his medals, which I don't know if that's a metaphor for his dick.
Could have been.
As the Attitude Era, I guess you kind of couldn't really rule any kind of dick jokes out.
Fair.
And yeah, he didn't seem too concerned with the Ultimate Submission match he had later.
No.
Kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, hey, calm, cool, collected. That's how you got to be before a match. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you win a gold medal with a broken freaking neck, an Ultimate Submission match is kind of a walk in the park for you, or a downgrade in competition. So I guess maybe that's why he's calm, and that's why he's him and I'm me.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I respect the move. You know, not getting too stressed out about it, and getting ready to go to work. Although I do remember the him and his medals being a major storyline throughout like his entire run to start WWE. With like everyone just needs to pay attention to his medals. He's got to take great care of them. And I'm pretty sure every person that he ever got into a feud with tried to steal them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if I just saw him walking around circa 2001 when I was 9, I would have tried to steal the medals off of him. They look cool. The man looked cool on TV. I would have been like, hey, Kurt, can I get your autograph? Boom. Kick in the shin. He bends down, rip those medals off of him, and then just sprint as fast as I could as a 9-year-old.
You think you'd be able to outrun him?
No, that's a fast walk for him being who he is and me being 9 years old. Although 2011 and on Kurt Angle, I think I definitely had a solid chance outrunning him, being that I was in high school or just out of high school, and he was starting to have a little bit more neck issues. I think I would have had a better chance around that time. Maybe it's still even now. I got a little bit of a beer gut now, but I think I could still maybe outrun him.
Yeah, I mean, so does he. So I mean, I think I like your chances.
It's an even fight, finally. That's what I mean. I'm kind of glad, So let's get that going, Kurt. If you want to race me for your gold medals, DM me on Twitter at Agent Shavi Skarn, and we will talk. We'll talk some shop. We'll donate all the money to charity. It'll be a my choice, and we'll go from there. I'm sure the charity would probably be the state of Ohio just as a whole because we need it. We need like something fun in the state besides Cedar Point.
That's fair. It's fair.
So yeah, no, it's completely fair. And Kurt, again, DMs are open. So next up on the docket, we had Rhino versus Raven in a hardcore title match. Again, I love the fact they're just leaning into the car crash aspect of starting the pay-per-view.
Love it. Love everything about it.
Now, did you like Raven just bringing in a shopping cart full of weapons?
Yes, I loved it. That was probably my favorite part of it. Between him bringing the shopping cart and then Rhino spearing the shopping cart shoulder first was also a highlight for me.
I loved how he just. I wish he would wrote it in Jackass style, because I know CKY and Jackass was a big thing back then. You know, maybe a little cross promotion or a reference or a homage, if you will, to the Jackass guys. Get in there and ride that cart, Raven. Now that's what I would have done. But no, it was a cool match. And you did talk about the spear with the shopping cart. I think Rhino also tossed the shopping cart at Raven at some point, which, I mean, you've pushed one of those around full at a grocery store. You know that doesn't feel too good. I mean, I've hit my shins with that.
That's
and
brutal.
It's hurt. It's brutal.
It is brutal to hit your shins on those shopping cart. I can't imagine getting hit in the head with one or in the arm, whatever.
No.
Because I know when I hit my shin at the grocery store when I'm there, I immediately want to throw the shopping cart and leave the grocery store because I am angry and annoyed.
I actually throw up the X Factor sign, and hopefully like a Kroger worker comes up to me and it's like, what's going on? And I just point to my leg and they get the stretcher out, and then the produce guy comes out and just shoves me off my stretcher, and then we have a parking lot brawl.
And then they make you drive around in one of those other the electrical carts for the rest of the night as you're shopping.
Oh yeah, they put me in one of those. I was actually riding around in one of those before my 21st birthday because I jumped down a flight of stairs the week before I was turning 21, and I fucked up my ankle really bad. Didn't break anything, just did a bunch of ligament damage. And so I was riding around my local Walmart with just like a pack of Coors Light in my little scooter, and I was just riding around and I put my crutches in there too. I looked like such an idiot, but it was worth it. So yeah, put me in an electric scooter, Kroger. Make it happen. We'll run it back. I'll jump down another flight of stairs. I'll cripple myself for life. I won't be able to wrestle in the Branded Sports WrestleMania crossover. But you know what? I'd do it all over again. But anyways, let's get back to this here. So Raven gets hit with all the weapons inside his cart. Kind of ironic.
Yes.
He brought all the weapons to the match, and then all the weapons get used on him.
Which how it usually goes, though. You know, the guy that brings everything to the party is the one that, you know, it always has to get used on him.
Yeah, so I mean, props to Rhino for just coming out with the hardcore title, which I don't even think got used on him. So that was even a bigger brain move by Rhino, which you wouldn't expect from a guy that's just 5'8" and a brute. You know, you just expect bronze and not brain, but he's got bronze and brain. Shout out to Rhino.
Future he was like a mayor or something, wasn't he?
Yeah, he ran for I think he got a mayor spot, and then he ended up trying to run for like a Senate or House spot. I don't know. My history teacher failed me, and I don't know. I mean, he didn't literally fail me. I'm just saying he failed me and like getting me to remember how this shit works. So yeah, he ran for something and he almost won that. And I would have loved if they announce him and then he just gores the loser that he beat, and Paul Heyman just loses his shit. Oh, I would love that.
Gore!
Oh my god! Joey Styles just comes out and does it. Oh my god! But one of my favorite spots of the match, I know you brought up the spear into the shopping cart, which we'll talk about when we get into the finish here, was Rhino setting up the stairs. And then he had ran up those as he had sat Raven in the chair, and he was going to like kind of tumble into him. And Raven just noped his way out of there.
Yep.
And I would do that too. Rhino's 5'8" and like 350 pounds of pure muscle. I mean, he's basically a refrigerator. I wouldn't want that guy falling into me either.
Not a chance.
No, but they did take some pretty insane, like we talked about the shopping cart spear. There were some other insane bumps in this match.
Yeah, I mean, it was a physical match from start to finish, which I miss that so much about hardcore wrestling. You know, obviously, I don't need to see like the ridiculous amount of blood and all that stuff. It just needs to be violent.
Yeah,
that's all. Like, Doesn't need to be over the top, but like you don't see it anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I get why we don't see it, but at the same time, you can set those up to where they're a little safer because, I mean, I don't think you should hit someone over the head with a stop sign repeatedly now, given the current climate of head trauma. But I mean, you could get a stop sign out and hit him in the back. That's not bad. I mean, you take a chair to the back now. Why not let him take a stop sign?
Exactly.
I thought about this while watching the match. I saw the stop sign, I saw the no parking sign, and I saw the handicap sign, and I thought, holy shit, there's a parking lot right now. It's just an absolute chaos because Raven stole all of these from their fucking parking lot. I had to assume it was like a Macy's parking lot. There's a bunch of like middle-aged women just driving around, smashing into each other, and there's some handicap lady that has to park in the very back and wheel her way up to the front of the store because Raven stole the one sign that they had for the place there.
It was the parking lot of the Allstate Arena.
Yeah, some old grandpa geezer is just taking his grandson to the show, and he's got to park in the very back and just breaks his leg on the way in because Raven stole the handicap sign, so he couldn't park there.
Yeah, that
would be hilarious. So I brought it up like 5 times now. Let's just talk about it. Rhino spears the cart and gets stuck.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it should have been the finish.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it should have been the finish too. It would have been a perfect end. Like, dude goes pretty much head first into a shopping cart. Raven could have got a quick little roll up, and that would have been it.
Which would have been funny. I was gonna say he should have tipped the rolling cart over or the shopping cart over and pinned him that way and just stand on top of the shopping cart. But I like the roll ups where the cart goes with him.
Yes.
And he goes ass over head and just falls down, and he's rolled up in the shopping cart, can't kick out. And that should have been the finish, but it wasn't. Rhino gets the win on a gore in picture-in-picture.
Gore.
Yeah, he gets the gore in picture-in-picture, which kind of sucked. They were showing something on replay, and he hits the gore, and we don't really get to see it. And I mean, and looking back, you can look over to the right side of the screen, but it's so hard because they make it so small compared to the replay they're showing. It's like, why should I pay attention to that? Well, the finish of the match happened there.
And part of me thinks, like, looking at the match times now, I think they maybe only had 8 minutes and they went 8 minutes and 11 seconds. So you have to wonder if maybe like something happened with like, hey, you guys are running a little bit over here. That's enough. Like, let's end this.
Yeah. And to the female branders out there, see, 11 seconds can make all the difference in the world. So we're not lying when we say that felt like a long time, because let me tell you something. That 8 minutes and 11 seconds felt like 15 minutes to me. That was kind of a match that was, I don't want to say it dragged, but it definitely didn't feel 8 minutes and 11 seconds.
It felt longer than it needed to be.
Yeah, but again, not a bad match. I mean, you won't hear me say that I would never watch that match again. It was just, it felt a little long for what it should have been.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're on the same page here. I love it. And let's go to the Chris Jericho William Regal match. This is our first official rematch from WrestleMania, and this time it's the Queensberry of what the Duchess of Queensberry.
Yeah, Duchess of Queensberry rules match,
which basically turned out to be whatever William Regal wanted it to be.
That exactly what it was. Every time Jericho went to win, no.
Excuse me, that you cannot win with the walls of Jericho. There's no disqualification, and the round is over.
That was a really good Duchess voice.
I mean, I just imagine how like the biggest bitch that you would ever have to talk to would talk like, and I just said that's just, I nailed it. This thought of every horrible experience I'd have with a music teacher and just put it all in that voice, and it worked. That was years of frustration of being in choir. All for one impression on a podcast that is going to get millions upon millions of views.
The millions and millions of branders out there
are watching this years from when this was recorded, because at this point we've made it big.
Yes.
Where Branded Sports is the premier betting place. I don't want to say site, but I want to say place.
Yeah.
You know, we're all living in the same house. Me and Stevie Stats are somehow best friends now. We're in a domestic partnership. And Allie has become part of the Roster podcast, and the Roster podcast has become Avoiding Reality. Beefin is now just a podcast where Joe writes diss tracks about everyone else at Branded Sports.
No, he just writes diss tracks about people that don't tell him about their bets.
Yeah, so it's literally just every week he just writes a new rap about you.
Yeah, pretty much.
I would love that. Oh man, so yeah, let's get back to this Queensberry of Duchess match. So the Duchess is sitting ringside, and like I said, she's just basically interfering at any possible chance she can. And this also felt like a match that you would see in like season mode of SmackDown versus Raw, which and that's not a knock on it. That means I love it. I love those games. I love this kind of match concept because it's a different way of just letting the bad guy keep being the bad guy, but just not be like
not burying.
Yeah, not just William Regal taking the brass knuckles out of his crotch and hitting him with a little Fermunda cheese in the chin. You know, it's a little different way for him to be a little crafty dick, a wanker, so to speak. But no, I loved it. I mean, this was a great match. It was the start of a technical aspect taking over on the card. You know, we got the hardcore car crashes the first two matches. Now we're starting to see the tide turn into a little bit more technical, a little bit more technical brawl would probably be the best way to describe this match. Because I mean, it has some hard hits. I liked Regal hitting Jericho with like a semi-Judas effect, which was a nice little call ahead to 18 years from then when Jericho would start using that as a finisher in a different company that I'm sure William Regal knew about at the time. He's probably like, "Excuse me, Jericho. Yes, you're going to start a company called All Elite Wrestling, and it's going to be one of the premier wrestling companies in the world. I will work for you at some point. You don't know when, but I will work for you, and I'm going to hit you with this Judas effect, which you will use against Hangman Page to become the first All Elite Wrestling World Champion."
Yeah, I can only imagine that was a conversation going on in the ring at the time.
Probably. I mean, you don't know otherwise. No one knows. There's no alternate audio out there. So, well, you know, I'm right. And the guy in a New World Order shirt would not lie.
He's not wrong.
I tell the truth for life.
Boom. There you go.
Yeah. So try to fucking prove me wrong, stupid internet wrestling fans. But yeah, so we talked about how the match was supposed to end 3 different times. First one, Jericho has Regal in the walls of Jericho. Duchess chimes in, says match round over. And then no round starts after that. It was basically just her saving Regal.
Yeah. Like, no, hold on. That's not how that was supposed to go. That's not what I wanted. Let's
and then
everyone stop, start over.
Run it back. And what else was there? There was the no disqualification when Regal doinked him with a chair.
Yeah.
Or no, he doinked her with the little mallet, right?
Yeah. The little mallet, whatever the hell that was. I don't even know what it was, honestly.
It was unnecessary for the costume is what it was, which just basically goes to describe every one of the English royalty. It's completely unnecessary.
Agreed.
I love how Jericho sold that, though. He sold that so good.
Yeah.
He literally was lifeless going into the ring.
Love to see it. You love to see a guy just do his job really well. One of the best of all time. And yeah, I mean, this wasn't my favorite match. It just felt a little too gimmicky at times to me.
Yeah.
But again, I'm with you where it's not a match where I would never watch again, but just like, but I watched it.
I think we can both agree it was better than just running back the Mania match straight up.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I mean, we get a little bit too much of that now, a little bit too many rematches with not a lot of gimmicks behind them that kind of just make them. They kind of devalue them.
Yeah, it's just like, a singles match. Oh, well, let's do it again next week. Oh, yeah. Well, hey, let's do it again another week, and then you get like 5 weeks in a row of the same singles match after you just saw it on the pay-per-view, and then you get the next pay-per-view, and it's like, okay, well now we're gonna one up you here. It's a
Hell in a Cell.
Hell in a Cell. Or it's going to be like all of a sudden the guys are going to be tag team partners.
Yeah, it's going to be something really weird like that. Shout out to Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre.
Yes.
Who have wrestled, I believe, 12 consecutive weeks in a row on Raw now.
Feels like it.
I wouldn't know. Don't watch it. Don't care. Anyways, the ending came when fucking corn chowder soup is still sitting in here 39 minutes, 53 seconds into this fucking podcast. The ending comes in this match when Chris Jericho puts the walls of Jericho on the Duchess of Queensberry.
Which would not go over well.
No, not go over well now. This would be very problematic in 2020. But he puts it, and then who's the heel and who's the face here? Because you have Jericho putting her in the walls of Jericho, which she rightfully deserved for fucking him over.
Agreed.
But then you have Regal come in with the chair and just beat the piss out of Jericho's back with the chair to win the match. Obviously, we know who the face and heel is back in 2001, but 2020, I think we would call William Regal a simp.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree.
This is no simp September. So Regal, next time, just let old Chris Jericho break the Duchess's back in half. So he gets the win that way. And my only knock on the match is, how does 3 back chair shots just incapacitate Chris Jericho?
Yeah, I feel like I see that a lot, where it's just like a guy will hit like a big move, or will hit him with something, and it's like, oh, that's got to be it. Like that really, that makes sense to end it that way. And then you see stuff like this, and it's like, okay, but he just kicked out of like getting hit with brass knuckles, pretty much. So it's like this doesn't make sense. Like I get like wearing down throughout a match, which I can buy that aspect of it, but that's not what it was here.
No, it was not here. But yeah, again, not a bad match. I feel like we have yet to run into one of those matches where we're like dreading it, or we look back on it, we're like, wow, that wasn't really that good. So far, would you say we have a great pay-per-view? Not an all-timer, but definitely great.
Yes. I don't know if I would be very right before great right now. I'm right. Like it's a very, very good pay-per-view, especially for following up WrestleMania.
Yeah, it was. One of my problems when I've watched some of these pay-per-views, even before we did this retrospect, when I've gone on the network and tried to watch older pay-per-views, the first two matches never really got me into it. And I don't know if it's just because I had to do it for the show, or if it was because I was genuinely interested. I wanted to say it's a little healthy combo of both. But this one, it's kept me hook, line, and sinker so far.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, I tried watching it a couple times, and it wasn't that I just couldn't watch it. I just couldn't. It was like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. Like I was falling asleep. So like it wasn't that I didn't want to continue watching it. It was just took me a little bit longer than I would hoped, because listen, your boy over here needs his sleep. Need my beauty rest.
Because we're working around the clock to get Branded Sports to become the premier. I'm just gonna keep dropping those kind of buzzwords. Premier betting place. That's what I'm gonna keep saying. I'm gonna make that work. It's kind of like Regina George in Mean Girls.
Fetch.
Oh yeah, this is Fetch. Premier betting site is the 2020 Fetch.
Can we make that our then, now, and forever premier betting place?
Branded Sports. Fetch.
Boom. There you go. That's a new slogan.
There we go. And now is the point of the podcast where I am going to tag in Walsh here. He's going to take the back half of the pay-per-view here, because that's probably the halfway point once you sprinkle in the segments that we glossed over, because they're really not that important.
Oh, yeah.
Flow along. So, yeah,
exactly.
Go ahead. Take over. Where are we at now in the pay-per-view?
So, we got our second rematch from WrestleMania in Benoit, RIP, going up against Kurt Angle in a 30-minute ultimate submission match.
Just so we're clear, when you say RIP, you mean rest in power.
Yes, absolutely. So we have the 30-minute ultimate submission match between two of the best technical wrestlers in the business at the time, and probably of all time, going head to head. Angle, the ankle lock, his signature move, his signature finisher, his ultimate submission. That's what that was. And then, of course, Benoit with his crippler crossface, which, again, RIP to him and to the crippler crossface, because you can't say that anymore. So we're just going to call it the crossface. Or I guess we could call it the STF because I'm pretty sure that's like what Cena did. But anyway,
wouldn't it be funny if they were like, you can't say crippler crossface in 2020, it's offensive, and then you're just like, okay, we're gonna call it the crippler.
Yeah, I'm in.
Like you just take out the wrong part. That's not problematic at all. That would be awesome.
That would be perfect. So yeah, this one got off to a pretty hot start. Submissions. I was honestly surprised with how many. I guess we can call them falls. There was. But like Angle got the first one. He made Benoit tap, so he was up 1-0.
Which that was what was that with? Was that just
like a regular leg lock, pretty much? Like almost, I think if I remember correctly, it was like a little, like was it like a Boston Crab type thing?
It wasn't the ankle lock, I know that, but it was something different, which was kind of nice to see. They weren't just gonna spam finishers; they were like getting outside the box.
Exactly. You didn't want to just see the same things over and over again, because at that point it would have been dumb. So then Benoit would come back, and he had the cross arm breaker, is what they're calling it, to make that tied up at 1. And we kind of just exchanged, submissions for the most part throughout this entire match. Angle actually went up 3-1. So before the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead, Kurt Angle was blowing 3-1 leads. So, I don't know why we didn't get many memes about that.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you went there, because that's why we're tag team partners and we're tag team champs here at Branded Sports. That's where my mind went to. As soon as I saw a 3-1 on the scoreboard, I was like, all right, I should have texted you right then and there, but I was driving. So
yeah, we do not condone texting and driving here at Branded Sports.
Unless it's sexting, which then at that point you're just trying to get your rocks off. So I think that prioritizes the safety of everyone else on the road.
Agreed. At that point, you're probably looking at the new roster girls OnlyFans.
yeah, which we'll talk about that off air. I don't think we need to get our listeners and viewers too horned up. But CEO Joe would sign off on that. If you're trying to get your rocks off while you're driving, it prioritizes safety of everyone else on the road.
Agreed. So yeah, Benoit would force the comeback. Like you said, Angle blowing the 3-1 lead. You hate to see it. It's got to be the worst lead in all of sports, I think, at this point. He made him tap with a single leg Boston Crab, and then he made Angle submit to the ankle lock. Just an all-time move, making Kurt tap out to his own finisher.
Which then he got payback, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And we'll get to that, because this one, the time limit, we only had 30 minutes. And these boys, they went to the brink, 30-minute, and we ended up tied at 3, forcing overtime. So basically, we got a game 7 here. And yeah, it was Benoit returning the favor to Kurt Angle, making him tap to
the crippler crossface.
Yeah. So Benoit used the ankle lock, but then also used his own crippler crossface to win the match.
Yeah, which I think I was kind of getting at earlier. Kurt Angle tapped out Chris with the crippler crossface. That kind of rubbed salt in the wound.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I skipped over that one because we just went straight to Angle having the 3-1 lead.
Yeah.
But one of those wins was by the crippler crossface. So.
Which was kind of surprising.
Yes. What do you think of the match overall? I think you mentioned this off air, it was your favorite one on the card, I think, right?
Yeah, and I think it was just the hype behind it that I had set myself up for, because I don't think I got to watch this pay-per-view as a kid because we didn't order every pay-per-view, and my uncle didn't. And he was the one that would get me the tapes and stuff that he would record. So when I looked on the match card and saw this was on there, I was like, a 30-minute time limit match of nothing but submissions with these two is kind of like what Kenny Omega versus Okada is, if I see that on paper happening again. I'm excited. I know I'm going to get a great match, a great technical match. And it was very mat friendly. It was just straight up grappling for 30 minutes. I loved every minute of it. And like I said, the crippler crossface being used by Angle to tap out Benoit was cool. The aspect of that, and they really sold it on commentary. The aspect of they're tapping out because they know they got a fall to give,
right?
And they got to be healthy for the rest of the 30 minutes. I loved it. This is what peak WWF was to me.
I agree.
just from in the ring to the commentary was just flawless, and it really sold you on these two guys are trying to do whatever they can to win.
Yeah, everything was so much more believable. And nowadays you don't get that. And it sucks, but it is what it is. We got a great match. I am happy I was born into the era where wrestling was, I would say, at its peak.
Yeah.
Because as much as I'm hopeful for the future, I don't see us ever getting back to how invested I was into wrestling, how invested in I was with wrestling. I don't know I'm not probably saying that right at all.
No, I think I get what you're going for. You're saying like it's kind of like when you go back and watch like The Sopranos or The Wire. You're like, I'm rewatching this. I know what happens, but I still love it.
Yeah.
But it's like just to have that feeling of watching it for the first time again you would kill for. You're never going to feel that again. At this point, you kind of feel like you know what's going to happen. You know what to expect. You know it's not going to be as good as it was to you the first couple times. And that's how it is. I mean, I love wrestling now. I love watching the indies, New Japan, and AEW, but it definitely does not have the same feeling as when I was a kid. As good as all of those products are, I get where you're coming from. It's like it doesn't feel like it.
There's something missing, and I don't know what it is. And I don't know if it's like because I've been disappointed so much with WWE over the last, I would say, decade. I think that's kind of where it goes back to. And like, yeah, I'm super excited for AEW and their future. I just don't know that I will ever get back to the point where I was as big as a wrestling fan as I used to be.
Now, do you think kayfabe goes along with it? I know we talked about earlier how kayfabe was kind of big. I shouldn't say kind of. It was big when we were first getting into wrestling, and now it's kind of we know these are people playing characters, and now we just kind of look at it from an entertainment aspect instead of a lifestyle like it was for us as kids.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that has a lot. I don't know if it has a lot to do with it, because like I guess as you get older, you understand like, all right, these guys are playing characters. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, when we're little, we didn't understand that, but once you started getting older, you still started to understand that. Okay, it's just not real. We get that, but they're still playing characters. But there's a fine line between playing the character and then just like completely going against what you're doing on TV outside of it. So I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to say how big of a factor the non-kayfabe is nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the first thing, like, and probably one of the only things we'll kind of differ on. Where I'm kind of like, it's okay with me now. Like, I can see, like, for example, I think AEW had a 5-star match last week on the Parking Lot Brawl with Santana and Ortiz taking on Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, and they got 5 stars. Now, obviously, Ortiz and Santana are the bad guys in the match on the show. But then they go on Instagram afterwards, and they're like, "Look, we did this. We got a 5-star match." And they're proud of their moment, and they're kind of not really playing the dickish heels that they do on the show.
Yeah,
and that doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't take me out of it because again, I get back to they're just playing characters. Not a big deal for me. But I can get how for some that would be like that's taking away for them. So I think it's a valid complaint. It's just something I personally don't feel, and I'm not gonna say someone's wrong for feeling that way. It's just I can't say I do.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I don't hate. Like, it's not that I don't like it. It's just I know where it is now. I just know that I will never be as invested as I used to be.
Yeah, and that's like you said, it could be a product of the times, could be a product of kayfabe not being alive. But I just, I mean, I do agree with you on that. Wrestling will never reach the peak it was, where it was getting 6 million, 7 million viewers each show, WCW and WWF, and you were just seeing it was a lot more rabid fan base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and honestly, like going back to this pay-per-view and the dork sign from earlier, I kind of like you kind of miss that feeling. I don't know if maybe it's just me, but like people don't bring signs to these wrestling events anymore.
No.
It's like, not, I mean, obviously I know right now we don't have fans really, but that used to be like a really big part of the show.
Oh yeah, that camera pan. Anytime a pay-per-view or Raw or SmackDown was starting, you have to read the signs and see them. Or even when the matches were going on, it was so cool. And I think that's that's really why we wanted to go back and do the earlier years of wrestling, especially from when we were kids. It was a different time period. I mean, we could go back and do 2010 and onwards of pay-per-views, but it's just not the same. Like when you go back to look at these cards, we get to see that you get to see that passion and that those dork factor signs, just a whole different era. And that's what's kind of cool about it. It kind of, I think it might reinvigorate my love for WWE again. And I hope so. Because right now I am so far from watching them because I feel like I've been burned so many times that I think, just go back to remember the good days. Maybe it'll get me into the product again for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where like the environment was so different back then. And again, I know it's just a product of the times, but I just don't think you have the hardcore wrestling fans nowadays that you did back then.
And that's because
it's more of a casual fan base overall.
It's because you have so many other options to watch. Like the hardcore fans are going to go watch the independent shows where they're going to get a feel for that Attitude Era-esque stuff, the good of it, obviously, not the bad, but you're going to get that in a smaller dose. And they would rather have that than go to like a cookie cutter show that the WWE is now. And I don't blame them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't either.
That's how I got into New Japan and now AEW and the Indies. I was burned out on WWE and went and found other wrestling shows that would make me, happy.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. So, hopefully, like I said, we're both hopeful for the future, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
No.
We had next up back to Backlash 2001. We like to go off the rails here. It's what we do. That's why you guys tune in. I think this one might be my favorite match of the night. Last man standing between Shane O'Mac and the Big Show.
Yep.
And I don't know if you caught this when you rewatched it. When Shane's reading the book, he like refers to like a crash landing as he's reading the book. I think it's like Jack and the Beanstalk, wherever it's supposed to be a spinoff of. And he refers to a crash landing, and it took me, 19 years now later to realize like, oh wow, he was actually talking about what he would do in the match.
That's a nice little subtle hint that would get a lot of upvotes on the subreddit movie details. So shout out to WWF and Shane O'Mac for really planting the seeds there of the Beanstalk and predicting the future.
Yes, very interesting, and I had a whole new outlook on the match as I'm watching it after actually realizing what he was talking about. So this one starts Shane O'Mac, he has no business being in the ring with the Big Show, 7 foot tall, 500-pound giant, and he just starts, running around the ring, avoiding him at all costs as he can, hides under the ring for a second, pulls out a kendo stick and just starts wailing on the Big Show. I mean, he just goes to town. I don't know if I've ever seen a kendo stick bend the way that it did after seeing it hit the back of the Big Show. Like, oh my God. I was like, damn, I don't care how tough you are. Like, that has to hurt.
I think, who was it? Dominic Mysterio just recently got hit with the kendo stick.
I did see
saw the marks that left on him. So imagine how much it's leaving on Paul Big Show White. That guy's got a lot of real estate to work with the kendo stick. So I imagine his whole back must have been fucked up after.
Oh yeah, 100%. And this one, I was kind of surprised. Like, this one didn't feel. I don't want to say it was a long match because it wasn't. It was 11 minutes 55 seconds. It didn't feel that long. I don't know about you, but I didn't think this match felt like a very quick match.
Which, given how long it was, and it still gave off that feeling, it's good because we just witnessed a 31-minute epic between Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. So it was kind of cool to have. I don't want to use the term cool down, but it was a different type of match.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what made it feel so quick. We had what we kind of had a slow, methodical match before, where it was just guys working on body parts there to get them broken down. This one was just balls to the wall, and I think that probably put a factor in it.
Yeah, and pretty physical match from the start. Like I said, with the kendo stick, had some chair shots, and it got to a point where Shane finally was basically caught by the Big Show, and Big Show was just dominating him. I think he hit him with like 3 straight choke slams, and then every time the ref would count to 8, he would just pick him back up and give him another one, which hilarious. I love that move.
Bad planning though by him. That's
yes.
that's poor game management on him. That's running the ball on the 1-yard line or passing the ball on the 1 when you got Marshawn Lynch in the backfield.
Yeah, it's gonna get picked off by Malcolm Butler every time.
Oh, 10 times out of 10, Butler's running that back, and you're losing one of the best running backs in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. So as he continues to be an idiot and pick him up to try and chokeslam him, basically, I think he was just trying to put him through the mat at this point. That's what it looked like. He just keeps picking him up after he gets to literally 8 in the count when it's 10, and then Shane's done. And you hear the crowd start getting up and, oh, what's going on? And guess who's running down the aisle? It's Test. Hot take, worst theme song ever.
Oh, it was almost so bad it was good to me. That the way it just hold on. Let's get it going for the testicles that are listening right now that missed Test.
R.I.P. him, by the way.
Yeah, have you seen the Twitter account that's like, is Test still dead? And it's every day it tweets yes.
I did not see that, but okay, I am definitely going to look that up.
I mean,
what?
Yeah. I mean, he's Vince McMahon's wet dream now.
Yeah. And how weird is that too? That whole situation with him, and like he goes from nearly marrying his daughter, and then Triple H just comes in out of nowhere pretty much and is like, yeah, no, she's mine now.
He's like, bro, respect the dibs, bro. It's mine.
I may have drugged her to get her to marry me, but hey, she's mine now. Sorry, Tess, you're out.
He's like, he pulls out the marriage license and he goes, yeah, there may be a dumb blonde that signed this paper, but that dumb blonde is me. That's me, Triple H, not you, Test. You roided out fucking Guinea. I don't know. Was he Italian?
I don't even know.
I feel a little dirty if I called him a Guinea and he's not really Italian. And that's probably the second time a slur has been used on the Branded Sports Network, and that's both are mine.
Yeah.
Just really showing my disdain for the Italians.
Yeah, so I mean, watch out. You may want to sleep with one eye open. The Italians are going to be looking for you.
Which I'm not going to dox anyone that works here, but I think a certain important person at this company has a very Italian last name, so
yeah,
may have backed myself into a corner.
I stand with Chavi.
Thank you. I'm going to use that when I get a certain call from someone that I'm trying to impress by grabbing the brass ring, and they might fire me. I just want them to know that Walt stands with me, and we will go start our shitty Patreon that we will take our grandparents' credit cards and subscribe to them with.
Listen, we came in together. We're going out together. That's how it's looking right now.
It's like Thelma and Louise. That's what we're doing.
But Test comes to save the day. So he attacks the Big Show, which if you didn't watch the shows leading up to this, Test was basically destroyed by the Big Show because of Shane McMahon. And yeah, Test kind of starts beating up the Big Show. Shane gets back involved after Test saves him. They go up towards the entranceway. Big Show starts coming back a little bit, takes down Test. Then Shane O'Mac comes back out of nowhere, hits him with another sign. And again, Shane McMahon doing his best, trying to run away.
Yep, classic Shane O'Mac.
Decides that it's a great idea to try and run by climbing to the top of the entrance, which we didn't really talk about this. The cool little...
Yeah, it's... They had love it. It's probably my favorite. I would say that or Armageddon 2000 is one of my favorite pay-per-view sets of all time. We should have started there, honestly. That 6-man Hell in a Cell. We'll have to go back in time here. We'll get to that because I would love to talk about that one. Oh, you want us to talk about that one? Well, guess what? You're going to have to keep listening.
Exactly.
Subscribe.
Subscribe, like, comment below.
And turn on that bell when you get notifications. I always hated that about YouTube. That's like the dumbest thing ever. I hate when people say that.
Yeah, I'm with you. My God, someone's knocking on my door. Um,
Is this the part where you answer you can answer the door. I'll
yeah,
riff
go
around
ahead.
with that.
You riff
I'll,
around a little bit.
Yeah, I'll go on about how I hate that YouTube bell. So the YouTube bell, for those of you who don't know, is something that a lot of content creators just always casually drop when they tell you to they do a little spiel at the beginning of their videos, which is like, I don't need to turn on the notification button. Yeah, I know when you're going to post a new video. I know when I want to watch it. I'm not going to watch it right when it comes out. I'm going to want to watch it when I go to the bathroom at work, when I poop on company time. That's when I'll watch the video. I don't need to watch it the second it comes out because guess what? You're getting my view anyway. Doesn't it matter? It does not matter when you're going to get it. So to the bell on YouTube, right there, pal. And yeah, so that was my thoughts on the New York Stock Exchange and the crash of the market back in 1987. So Walsh, let's go ahead and get back to this match here. What's going on?
Yeah, Shane O'Mac running away like usual. Decides to climb to the top of the stage, Titantron, whatever you want to call it, to get away from Big Show. Big Show starts climbing up this thing, which that might have been scarier than what Shane did.
Could have tipped the whole
like literally everyone in the first 25 rows would have probably been killed.
Yeah, that would have been a dark day in Chicago. If that probably not as bad as when Michael Jordan retired the first time, but definitely a top 5 thing that would happen in Chicago. Bad,
at least. So as Big Show's climbing up it, good guy test comes back out of nowhere, takes down the Big Show. I forget what he hits him with, and then Shane at this point is at the top of the Titantron. He's just you know what he didn't decide to come back down after he realized that Test was already beating the Big Show up.
Yeah, he did actually
go higher.
I did just get word from Dave Meltzer that he, who has blocked me on Twitter, I did get word from him through a burner account that Test hit the Big Show with a paternity suit, and that's why he fell. So,
I get
confirmed
it.
by Dave Meltzer himself. He hit him with a paternity suit. Yeah, shout out Dave Meltzer.
So Shane, like I said, is now standing at the top, the very top. Got to be, as good old JR would say, he's got to be 30 feet in the air.
Which was that too far off? That seemed like it was. Maybe he was underselling it a bit.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he may not have said it was high enough. So I'm not one to.
I'm not one to judge someone by misrepresenting what they think the length is. You know, I don't shame that, but I definitely think JR was underselling it.
Yeah, and it could have been him, you know, being mad about the King not being his broadcast partner still.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that's why it was, but hey, I'm also not saying that's the reason.
There you again, I think I've confirmed from Dave Meltzer that was the case. That JR was a little pissed off about that. So thank you, Dave. Again, thank you to our branded Dave Meltzer.
Yes, we appreciate you. Yeah. So Shane's still at the top of the Titantron here, and Test is beating up the Big Show, which again, I don't understand. Like, why not just climb down and help Test out? You know, that's what I would have done. No, crazy Shane O'Mac decides, hey, this is a great idea. Let me stand at the top of this thing as Test holds the Big Show down. And then Test, which talk about a bad influence. Like, he's like egging him on. Like, yeah, come on, dude. Let's go. Yeah, jump down. Take care of this guy. So what's Shane O'Mac do? Just full send right down. Elbow drop that I'm pretty sure doesn't even hit the Big Show.
Thank God. I would have killed him.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Just goes through the wooden setup thing they have there, which conveniently just happened to be placed there. Which good for them. You know, they planned for that.
It would have went like if he actually hit him with his elbow, it would have been like the Kano fatality from Mortal Kombat. He would have just got his heart and would just pulled it out with him when he rolled over. So good. Yeah, it's good he didn't hit him. But, you know, again, kayfabe, we pretend he hit him. And I believe that got the 10 count.
Yes. So both guys clearly knocked out from that. And Test, being the smart guy that he is, realizes that Shane can't win the match if he's knocked out. So Test decides to pull the camera that they have, the swing camera, from over there, pulls it up, pushes it down, picks up Shane, throws him over that, and then bench presses the camera, which I'm sure was probably a solid 125 pounds.
Which would I have trouble bench pressing that? Probably.
And yeah, that basically got Shane the win, which still blows my mind that they consider that being like up for the 10 count, because he's clearly not awake. He's unconscious, and he's just literally hanging like this over the camera as Test is bench pressing it.
Yeah, I will definitely say a theme for this pay-per-view was definitely some questionable officiating.
Yes.
Definitely think we had some replacement refs coming in with the WCW merger that may have influenced how the matches were going for the worst, if you ask me.
Well, do you remember the refs going on strike? I don't remember when it was. It might have been later in 2001 or maybe the year before.
You're talking kayfabe?
No. Well,
real?
Kayfabe. During like the episodes of Raw and SmackDown, the refs had like started picketing outside of the arenas because they were tired of just getting beat up. And I forget when it happened, but like I just remember that being a thing.
You know what they should have done? If you're a ref and you're tired of getting beat up, just do what Ken Shamrock did. Take steroids, because when he reffed Bret Hart versus Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13, did we see anyone try to fuck with him? No, because he was roided out of his mind. I would have paid double the pay-per-view cost of 2001 to see Earl Hebner just shoot up HGH and become this like big burly dude that just takes no shit. Like, oh, we're gonna try kicking you in the nuts so you can not look at us while I hit this guy's sledgehammer. No, he just inhales your foot with his balls and then just punches your head off into the nosebleeds. I would have loved to see Earl Hebner do that. Would have been the biggest face turn of all time if that would have happened.
Earl, he's still going, isn't he? Isn't he in AEW now?
Yeah, he's with AEW, and good for him. I think every ref on this card, at the exception of Teddy Long, is still reffing, from what I remember.
I'm looking at him now, actually. Well, Tim White, he had to retire, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, because then he did the Tim White's lunchtime suicide, which they'll never talk about WWE again. But it was for no one, and I don't know if we'll ever get that far into the years of wrestling. But if we don't, it's basically too long didn't read is that this referee had to retire after getting hurt in the Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker Hell in a Cell match at Unforgiven 2002. And it was like 2004. They had Josh Matthews interview him in an online exclusive segment for WWE.com. And he would basically try to find new ways to kill himself. And he would come back every time. One of them, eventually, he got chopped to pieces by a fan. And he comes back the next week like nothing happened.
And someone thought this was a good idea.
Yeah, like it was basically 13 Reasons Why before 13 Reasons Why. Yeah. It was basically like, oh, if you thought 13 Reasons Why made suicide glorified, buddy, go watch Tim White's Lunchtime Suicide.
We've got something for you.
Yeah, and every one was like more comical than the last one.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I think Earl Hebner, Mike Chioda was fired from WWE.
Yeah, he recently did a match in AEW. I forget if it was a Jericho match or not, but he did do one there. Jimmy Corderas is retired. Jack Doan. I don't know who that was. I don't remember who that was. Yeah, he's not ringing a bell. He does not look familiar.
No, he retired in 2013, I think.
Must have been a Heat guy.
Yeah, I think he was. Teddy Long, he's still around, but not reffing anymore.
No. Holla, 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 holla.
But yeah, that was the end of that match. Again, going off the rails as we usually do. You expect nothing less when you come here to the Xavi and Walsh Playground, the WWF Backlash 2001 Retrospect, presented by Branded Sports. We're on to the main event.
Yeah, I'm glad we're on the same page here. We both just collectively said fuck the European title match because there's only 6 minutes. And it's not that it was a bad match. It's just, the WWE, clearly the placement on the card showed they gave very little fucks about that match. So why should we?
And the only thing I want to say about this one is Jeff Hardy interfering, breaking up the pin that before the end of the match, he goes to hit a swanton bomb and just completely misses. Like Christian was pinning Eddie Guerrero, R.I.P.
Yeah.
And he completely missed on the swanton bomb, and I'm pretty sure Christian just like rolled over and acted like he didn't really get hit by it. And then Matt Hardy hit a twist of fate, and he retained the European title, and that was that. So to the important thing, the two-man power trip tag team debut on a pay-per-view, because I don't remember if they had a tag team match before. But like I said, I don't know if we said this on the show, but I went back, I watched the Raw after WrestleMania. And that was the night the two-man power trip started, where Austin and The Rock had their rematch inside of a steel cage. And Triple H, was just going crazy throughout the night and came down to what most people thought to save the day. Because, why would Triple H team up with Stone Cold and Vince McMahon? That would be insane.
You told me that in 99, I would have said, go fuck yourself. As a 7-year-old, I would have said, go fuck yourself.
So Triple H comes down to help out The Rock, we think, and then he takes a sledgehammer and just, boom, levels The Rock, turns on everyone, turns on all these people. Why Triple H? Why? And we have the debut, the formation of what was supposed to be one of the greatest tag teams in WWF history. And we'll get to why that didn't turn out as good as it should have a little bit later on down the line. But
yeah, I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked the guy that comes out to Motorhead is a bad guy. I'm sorry. I saw that coming a mile away. He comes out to Motorhead. I'm going to hate his guts.
That's fair. I get it.
R.I.P. Lemmy, though.
Yes. So we had Triple H, who was the Intercontinental Champion at the time. Stone Cold, obviously the WWF Champion after beating The Rock at WrestleMania. They were going up against the Brothers of Destruction, Kane and The Undertaker, who were now the tag team champions because they beat Edge and Christian, I think it might have been the week before on SmackDown. Or 2 weeks before, whatever it may have been. So we basically had a winner-take-all match here between these four guys, all titles on the line, and I mean, pretty solid match overall.
Yeah, for being a bunch of guys that, I guess Triple H was a tag team with Shawn Michaels, and I guess Steve Austin had the Hollywood Blondes back in WCW, and I guess Kane had X-Pac, and I guess Undertaker had something going on in early WCW. I guess they were all tag team guys at one point, so I guess it wasn't really surprising that they were able to do such a good match with each other. But no, yeah, it was a great match, and I really liked that they sold Kane's elbow injury as why they just couldn't steamroll through Triple H and Stone Cold Steve Austin, because a healthy Kane and a healthy Undertaker are taking down these two 15 seconds into the match.
Yeah, I agree. And we had a lot going on. We had Stephanie McMahon at ringside. We had Vince, who would eventually get involved. We had your typical tag team things where a guy performs a finisher only for the ref not to have seen the tag. So
frustrating.
It's the worst. It's the absolute worst. Love it, but hate it,
We got honeydicked so many times on how this match was going to end for Undertaker and Kane winning. Like you said, we had the tag with Earl Hebner that he didn't see it. We had some near falls, and then we had Stephanie interfering, and then Earl Hebner was just like, "Nope, fuck you, get out of here."
That was awesome, by the way. Him shoving her off the apron, highlight of the match.
Very unexpected, though. I thought he was just going to give her the usual, "You're out of here." He said, "No, one step further, fuck you."
Yeah, he's like, "Screw daddy's little princess. You get off here, bitch," and just shoves her.
Yeah,
she goes flying. Pretty entertaining. Like I said, highlight of the match for me.
Especially now that we know the character she plays on TV now, where it's no one gets a comeuppance on her. It was kind of cool to see her get her comeuppance so suddenly without really any build. Because she really did. She hasn't got a comeuppance in a long time on TV, so it was cool to see that.
I agree. And yeah, I mean, as the match went on, like you said, a bunch of near falls, back and forth. They definitely did a good job of trying to sell us on Kane and the Undertaker winning this one, as much as we probably didn't think it was all that believable, because Stone Cold had just won the title, and same thing with Triple H. But of course, Vince McMahon and his newly formed 2-man power trip had to come down to the ring. He hands Triple H the sledgehammer. Triple H hits Kane with the sledgehammer. Boom. 1, 2, 3. That's it. It's over. We've got new tag team champs.
Yeah, that was how the match went. Like you said, fun match. And the 2-man power trip get all the titles, with the exception of the European and the women's title. I was a fan of it. Like I said, we got honey dicked a lot, and it would have been cool, but I felt genuine hatred for the finish, and I mean that in like a fan perspective, where I was like, "Damn it, they fucking won! I'm so pissed." But again, I see where they're going with the story of it, and that's why I was like, I get it from like I don't want to say critic, because we're not critics, but I get it from an outside perspective. But as a fan that was like into it, I was like, "Oh fuck, I hate these guys now," which is what they wanted. So
yeah, which. Like I said, we mentioned it kind of in our WrestleMania retrospect. The Stone Cold turning heel didn't really work that night, and it started working a little bit more here. I would say.
Definitely.
I would say this was the start of where it really could have been the Hulk Hogan type turn.
Yeah,
and like I said, we'll get to it as to maybe why it didn't turn out that way. But overall, like I said, I'm with you. I enjoyed the match. Entertaining. One thing I did notice that I thought was kind of weird, and I don't know if it was done on purpose, and we're never going to know at this point. The ending of the pay-per-view was like Stone Cold had walked away pretty much. He was like already pretty much in the back. And it ends with Triple H holding up both titles. So it doesn't really end with both of them holding up all 4 titles.
Gotta make you wonder, were they foreshadowing to WrestleMania 18?
Could have been.
Could have been. And I wanted to we're starting to wrap things up here. One of my biggest like what ifs for the show, and I'm not going to talk about what you think I'm going to talk about. We're going to save that for another day. But Jericho lost the Intercontinental title to Triple H, and The Rock lost the title to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, if we didn't have to deal with the Scorpion King being filmed right then, would we have got the 2-man power trip versus The Rock and Jericho instead? And do you think that would have been something that would have been a better from a story perspective? Because it really, I'll be honest, it didn't really make much sense other than The Undertaker and Kane were standing up to these two from a storyline perspective. Because, like you said, we had such a short build from WrestleMania to Backlash, where we see The Rock get beat down by Stone Cold and Triple H. He gets written off TV, go from Scorpion King. We see Triple H win the Intercontinental title off of Chris Jericho, and then he just goes back to feuding with Regal for the pay-per-view. I mean, I kind of wish we would have got to see in an alternate universe The Rock and Jericho versus the 2-man power trip for just, I don't even know if you had to put the tag titles in there too as a winner take all, but you could definitely, I mean, if you want, I'm sure you could have, because it was just Edge and Christian that had the title at the time.
Yeah.
But I just wonder how that would have went.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting perspective to look back on. I mean, I'm with you where it didn't make sense really with the Kane and Undertaker, but at the same time, like we did see Undertaker and Triple H at WrestleMania. So like they still had that going off of it. But I'm with you where I think it would have been cool to see The Rock and Jericho teaming up.
Yeah, so somewhere maybe the alternate universe, Xavi and Walsh are doing a retrospect where they're talking about this Rock and Jericho versus Triple H and Stone Cold, and they're like, I wonder how Triple H and Stone Cold versus Brothers of Destruction match would have gone. Well, let me tell you guys, it was great. It was a great pay-per-view. I give it 2 thumbs up.
I also give it 2 thumbs up. So that means 1, 2, 3. That's 4 thumbs up for all you math people out there.
Yeah.
Pay-per-view overall, very solid, a very good, very, 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 very good. I don't think I can say great. I don't know what it is about this one. I don't think I can say great pay-per-view.
And that's fair. That's fair. I think I would be right there with you. I said it's not an all-timer, but it's definitely one that I didn't find myself really bored at all through any point, which is the most important thing.
Yes, absolutely. I would agree 100%. Yeah, I hope you guys, enjoyed our little retrospect here. And, we have another one coming up probably next week, we're going to hope,
Next
where
week,
we've got Judgment Day. That's
Judgment
right.
Day is upon us.
Judgment Day is upon us.
And we're not talking about Terminator 2, although we could
No.
do a retrospect on that if you want, but I mean, we don't want to. So we're going to do WWF Judgment Day 2001.
Yeah, I think that's the better option here as well.
Yeah, I mean, because the Terminator 2 Judgment Day retrospect's probably been done 1,000 times over, but Judgment Day 2001, I can probably count on one hand how many times I could find those if I searched on YouTube right now.
Exactly.
So yeah, go ahead and follow the show on Twitter at Branded Play. You're gonna see stuff there. You're gonna see UFC previews. You're gonna see our weekly nightcap. You're gonna see the WWF retrospect for 2001 right now, and you're gonna see Ginger Thread be retweeted. Which Walsh, that's your podcast. You want to talk a little bit about that before we go off the air?
Yeah, follow Ginger Thread on Twitter at Ginger_Thread. We got a new episode coming out Thursday, so make sure you tune in for that. Me and my co-host Kelsey. Follow me on Twitter at Keith_Walsh18. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
All right, and you can follow me on Twitter at Agent Shavi Skarn, and then, like I said, the Branded Play account is where you'll see most of the other stuff we're doing. Give Branded Sports a follow on Twitter at Branded_Sports. Go to thebrandedsports.com, hashtag get branded, and hashtag read a few blogs, hashtag click on a few blogs, hashtag tell your friends about the blogs, and that's going to do it for us. God bless the internet.
Make sure you tune in for the nightcap on Thursday.
There you go. Tune in for the nightcap, and God bless the internet, and God bless you guys.